Hi everyone. Hopefully everyone can see me and hear me. You probably can see that I'm going to be talking about soul connections or soul to soul connections. And this is the area I've been really interested over the last 2 or 3 years. And I'm going to try to describe the best I can the concept and also explain how we can actually use it for our spiritual growth. I do believe that many people go through soul connections without maybe consciously knowing about it. There might be some energetic signals that we pick up from other people, but we may have issues actually recognizing what really is going on. Soul to soul connections are really common catalyst for our spiritual awakening. Why does it happen? It happens when we need to have some energies exchange with other individuals. And by the soul to soul connections and spiritual awakening, especially, I mean this increase of our awareness of interconnectedness, how everything here is intercorrelated. And especially, I'm talking here about our inner and outer states of being. So, the moment that we begin to see more, the more we begin to understand how our inner belief systems are actually being experienced and expressed not only by our life but also by our connections that we are attracting to our life. And within spiritual awakening, I realized that there are several avenues actually. How do we get into the awakening process? First, we can have, for instance, some mental challenges, right? There are many people who are dealing with the very difficult problems in their lives. They go through severe depressions, they go through very deep mental breakdowns. And within this lowest point, they are able to get a little bit of light shining through. So that's when they are able to reconnect with their inner nature and discover this light at the end of the tunnel. And that's how the awakening starts for them. There can be emotional experiences that are this catalyst for our awakening. And here, soul to soul connections are fitting so nicely. Within emotional body based spiritual awakening, we will be having very deep emotional experiences, both positive and negatives. So we can have very beautiful connections with other people, but also we can experience severe heartbreaks, deep, deep losses of either partners or family members. So very deep, severe experiences that are actually putting us into very strong discomfort and pain. It's very catalytic for our heart chakra. So that's how we awaken to this depth of our heart to heart connections with other people. Another group would be physical body challenges. So any sort of physical illnesses or some chronic conditions, chronic sicknesses that are putting us in a constant state of sort of a despair or discomfort that at some point it forces us somehow to get out of the personal experience and actually seek the bigger picture. Here, I like to also see any type of material losses, so changes on a material physical plane that it's causing our awakening. And also, some people are experiencing very spiritual, very spontaneous spiritual awakenings, but this is, I would say, a little bit more rare from my experience. Getting back to the topic of a soul to soul connection, that's our emotional experience. How do we awaken to that? So it happens through emotional body reconfiguration. We are dealing with the soul connections because we want to clear the patterns that are blocking us from being able to manifest aware connections here on this material physical plane as humans. Very often we're going to be experiencing emotional body clearing and reconfiguration. And for anyone who suspects that they were having spiritual connection with other people, there will be the familiarity. You will feel that you somehow recognize each other. And this sense that we know each other for so long. There is this strong resonance on a vibrational level that we can understand each other on this very deep level without even having to talk so much. Um, Many individuals are experiencing premonition, so that includes dreams, some visions, mystical experiences. So, very energetic experiences are included in that experience as well. For many of us, we will have this sudden heart opening, and especially for people who are maybe withdrawn and they had trouble to connect with another person on this heart level, they will be having this opportunity, maybe the first time in their life, to really authentically connect to each other. One thing that is really significant within the soul connections is it triggers our inner work. It changes our life, it changes our perception. So that's how you can see, even for your process, where are you standing? If you've felt like you met someone and it triggered somehow deeper changes in your life, it's a big chance that you were catalyzed by this experience and meeting. And of course, we are very good with labeling those experiences. For people who research that a little bit, you may be familiar with the topic of karmic partners, soul partners, soulmates, twin flames, divine partners. There's so many definitions. And right now I'm operating within the realm of twin flame, since this is the very common label today. It's a very hot topic, and I think the spiritual concept in the background is pretty much the same. Is just, it helps us maybe to connect the dots sometimes and just see where we are in the journey and grasp the concepts a little bit better. Though, reminder, of course, like it's better not to get stick on any specific labels. I like to see this whole experience as our journey throughout our awakening. So the whole process is way broader than any specific definition that we try to put and those labels that we put on our connections. So instead, I really like to ask people to pay attention to the recurring themes that are appearing. So if you're looking into your experiences throughout life, what type of partners you are attracting, usually those experiences will be repeating over and over until we heal certain pattern, and also to see whether or not those patterns are actually healthy. Usually we are repeating those unhealthy partnerships until we recognize it doesn't serve anymore. So I think also I wanted to mention that we do carry our some sort of a blueprint, right? That we will be attracting certain circumstances or people in our life that are matching this inner blueprint. So we can expect some sort of familiarity and similarity into what kind of connections we are attracting, but we are meant to learn to operate from that. We need to make it more conscious to be able to navigate those relationships a bit better. So act more based on our on knowing ourselves instead of leaving that into unaware states of being. Narrowing down on that twin flame label or experience, there is a lot of outdated information that I wanted to begin with. For people who are familiar or try to read a little bit more about it, it's very common to come across the term of two souls being split and put into different bodies, or the couple that it's being made of divine feminine or divine masculine, which are two separate individuals that are supposed to come together, and together they create a union. And there is this romanticizing of the concept that it's this never ending story between two people, and it really tries to put it into this physical realm, but only focusing on this romantic layer of experience. But rather, the soul connections have such a depth to it. It's literally the evolutionary journey for all of us back to self. So we have opportunity to deepen our inner knowing, our spiritual wisdom here, and also master our emotional bodies, our mental bodies, our energetic bodies. So it's a very good preparation actually to be able to detach from different layers of us and recognize how different bodies are talking through each other, really. And we, this inner union that we are here to embody, It's actually making sure that all of our bodies are in right order and they are co-orchestrating with each other. Another part about the twin flame experience, it's I like to understand it as the stream of consciousness that is able to flow through us, and we have a capacity to actually manifest that outwardly. So if you're able to stay present, stay aware, and embody your soul blueprint, you have a chance to actually be able to manifest this experience with another person. So again, like this, it doesn't put this highlight on a emotional or romantic part of experience. It's actually us being able to embody fully the consciousness and be able to work it together with another person, and finally make the template of this nice, healthy, conscious relationships. There are those two paradigms that are clashing at this moment. So the higher understanding will be always asking us to see our journey, our life as this broad picture and this interconnectedness of everything and everyone. So starting from the old paradigm that it's a little bit outdated, people were seeing this soul connections as a strictly romantic concept, and the choice of our spiritual life partner was based on those emotional body responses. So the chemistry was a very strong indicator of our potential partners. But there were those limitations, as I was mentioning, right? Like we were thinking that it's one soul split into bodies and people romantically connected with each other forever and ever. And that's a little bit outdated belief system that it's keeping a lot of people stuck. And we are hopefully entering to this new understanding, new paradigm, that we are starting recognizing each other on these deep levels, soul levels, and recognizing that we are actually mirroring and attracting our partners based on our vibrational level, based on our belief systems, based on how much awareness we could tap into. So that's how we are magnetizing. So ideal partner for us will be more related to how well we are understanding each other on aware level or consciousness level, and less about chemistry that we believe it's more temporary experience, and it's again this emotional body response. So we are entering hopefully towards this higher understanding that we actually can manifest the very spiritual connections, but on a 3D or maybe material plane, and allow people to have the right template for how we should connect here. And one reminder for here I wanted to make, it's the difference between this old paradigm and new paradigm. Actually, it's we need to believe and remember that we are whole as we speak. We don't need anyone to complete us. So we always want to work towards self empowerment, that we have everything that it takes to be happy here. And then from that level, the fullness and happiness, we are attracting other people into our field or our reality. So, talking about the mirrors, those soul connections are great mirrors of where we are standing in terms of our evolution, our belief systems, our self worth. So, before awakening, when we don't really know and act based on autopilot, um, sometimes it happens that we fall into emotionally unfulfilling relationships and we are truly detached from our authentic self. So, very often, catalytic or those soul connections will be coming into our life to start us on this journey or of rediscovering. And as we understand each other better, we may see that we begin to change our relationships, and some relationships will be falling away, some will be transforming. Also, new relationships will be mirroring our growth and being attracting to us because we have made the changes. We are ready to attract other people that serve better or maybe mirror better our healthy view of ourselves. Here we can start attracting so-called soul family, people who are really feeling very familiar to us, like family members, but you may not be connected by blood. So within that, we also have idea of spiritual graduation. As you go through your awakening process and you discover yourself more, there's also a concept of balancing more your feminine energy and masculine energy. Feminine energy being this creative force, this very gentle force that we have in ourselves, and the masculine drive that it's actually helping us to act and put everything in the right order and just help us to balance our life. Those two need to be in the right order and be in perfect balance, because it helps us to achieve this sense of fullness, that we don't really select our partners based on needs, that we select our partners based on this soul recognition, knowing that we have everything that it takes to be happy here, but then we are very excited to have someone walking next to us. So it really prepares us better not to connect based on our attachments to anything. It's just more freedom that is being invited in those connections. So, how we can use those connections as a mirror to our progress? Well, as I mentioned, we are manifesting those connections based on our belief system. So, they are really reflecting our self worth. So, if you can see yourself through the different connections that were entering your life, you will see that usually they were reflecting maybe lack of self love or self belief in yourself, or how much you deserve to be connected and also have healthy relationship. So the more healthy dynamics you will be seeing entering your life, the more progress you've made on the journey. That's how I like to look at that. So you will start seeing shift into what type of people you're attracting in your field as you get to know yourself better, as you make more conscious choices. And the level of the spiritual awareness as you have will be also mirrored by others. So you will be starting attracting people who are getting these ideas a bit more. We are starting to speak the same language. So there will be this deepness into all of those connections. And it's a very beautiful thing to recognize that. So for people who are involved in that connections, maybe you think you were catalyzed by this experience, and what can you do with it? Well, there are things that can be done to help yourself to get to the next phases, because I mentioned that some people do get stuck in the emotional part and they think that's it and that's the ultimate partners for us, and they put all the effort into the emotional part of the experience. But we need to understand that we do have our mental body, our emotional body, also our gentler energetic body, and those need to be interconnected and talk to each other. So really don't put on a forefront any one of our parts, just really work towards unifying them all. That would be the first thing, to recognize that we are consisting of different parts of ourselves. Then I think meditation and just tapping into our inner guidance is very useful, because we want to make this process very conscious. We need to know what happens and how those relationships or connections are actually mirroring our growth. So the more healthy we are and more aware we are, the more aware and healthy individuals we can attract to our field. I mentioned about balancing the feminine and masculine energies. That helps also to kind of fill your cup a little bit better, feel more joy, but just tap into your full potential to be able to rebuild your self-worth and also feel that you belong to this world, that there is this inner strength that is linked to achieving the balance between how much we create here and flow, and how much we actually have our life under right control and we are co-creating here. As usual, I also invite people to remember the big picture of our spiritual evolution here, and soul connections are a very beautiful part of it that helps us to understand each other a little bit better, and also show people how we can create those healthy connections. And especially talking about big picture, I want to remind everyone about this emotional detachment. And here I'm not saying about ignoring emotions, it's more about being aware that sometimes our emotional body will be going through some sort of a reconfiguration, and As well, we're gonna be influenced by the collective energies or astrological influences of the planets, which is fairly useful to track because it can help navigate ourselves better and just stay a little bit detached without actually disrupting everything when it gets too tough, right? Like probably people can experience those influences, especially like Mercury retrogrades, or for people who are resonating with those concepts. So it's good to understand what happens and then be able to make your choices and actions a little bit detached from this emotional body. And also, of course, there's tons of information out there, lots of teachers, and I think this point requires some gentle discernment on your side. If you need help, give yourself a time to actually find people who resonate with you, who can allow you to find this knowledge, but just be mindful that you are your best inner guide. And yes, we do cooperate with each other here, but we have whatever it takes. So just really developing this inner intuition will be the number one thing that you can have and do for yourself. But of course, our intuition will be guiding us to connecting to maybe mentors or some online resources. And with that, I wanted just to summarize what we spoke about. So, treating the soul connections that are happening in our life as a mirrors of our spiritual progress here. Of course, this is a process that it's leading us to our self discovery here. So the action point would be if you feel like you're engaged in some sort of a soul connections, there are options for you to move forward. I do work with people within soul to soul connections. So if you resonated with what I was sharing today and you felt that you're a little bit stuck or just wants to bounce some ideas, please feel free to connect with me. I love to always chat about different journeys and how we go through those experiences because I do believe there's so much potential and the community is growing, but there is so much old programmings that are unnecessarily keeping people small. And I love to see this part of spiritual community growing and evolving constantly. So for this, some people who are interested in what I've shared so far, of course, that was a short presentation. I didn't want to overwhelm with information, but I do have a YouTube channel with my partner. Our channel is Aqua Spirit United. We also have a website, aquaspiritunited.com. Feel free to explore. If you have some questions, please put them in the comments or just even reach me through Facebook. I'm open to chatting more. Thank you, everyone, and enjoy the rest of the series. Take a good care.